3, 2, and 1. Thank you for everybody I see joining us right now today for this episode of the Financial Grill. Another great conversation about Black wealth, about financial literacy, mindfulness, understanding. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some of the stuff we've been seeing, especially when we find like a good article online. Some great ideas starts popping off, and we're like, you know what? Let's hold off, and let's think about it a little bit more, and let's put it on the podcast. So I have, my name is Delva-Gonzalez. I'm also otherwise known as the Neighborhood Finance Guy. You can find me on IG, but you can also find me on my website by the same full name. So it's theneighborhoodfinanceguy.com. So I'm actually joined by my co-host today, because we do not have lovely Merdelus, which is our third person that's typically on this conversation. And my co-host today is
Alainta. Hey,
what
what's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in. Like Lawrence mentioned, Lovely is not here with us and not present, but we're going to keep this show going, give you guys some great content and some great conversation. So you can find me on YouTube, my name, Alainta. So there, I like to naturalize money talk and just discuss everything in between. So almost similar what we'll be discussing now. So I'm excited. Thanks for tuning in.
Cool. So we're going to jump right in. And today, I think it was a post that Alainta posted on her IG. So it got me to clicking on my IG, sharing that thing and kind of commenting, provide some feedback back to the community, trying to change the way people think. And the title of the article, and it's actually featured in the Wallstreet Journal, is called "College Was Supposed to Close the Racial Wealth Gap for Black Americans. The Opposite Happened." It was actually written by Rachel Louise and Singh, and as well as Shane Shitlet. So I'm likely messing up their names, whatnot. But ultimately, I think this is going to get a bit of traction out here. It's posted about a day ago, but I think the commentary here is going to be very eye-opening. And I'm going to start off with a stat that's actually listed in this article. More than 84% of Black college-educated households in their 30s have student loan debt. Obviously, I have some of mine, and you still got yours?
I have some of mine. Still got mine, unfortunately.
Up from 35% 3 decades ago, when many baby boomers were at the same age. The younger generation owes a median of $44,000, up from less than $6,000. By comparison, 53% of white college-educated households in their 30s have debt, up to 27% 3 decades later. The median amount for them rose from $35,000, up to $35,000 from $8,000. All the figures are adjusted for inflation. The first and foremost thing I remember, I wrote an article about this on my website, and I remember when that one, I believe his name is Robert F. Smith or something, the billionaire. He actually donated a lot of money to HBCU Morehouse.
I think it was Howard or Morehouse or something.
It was Morehouse. So he donated for that graduate class. So he basically said that he's going to pay off all their student loans. The total amount ended up being on average about $100,000 per graduate, for the entirety of the class. I remember that specifically because it's really something that to be said. I think for undergrads, you kind of walk away with maybe $30K, $40K, in student loan debt. But if you start picking up all the master's degrees, the side degrees, whatever, you pushing that envelope all the way up to $125,000. I actually walked away from my college experience and my master's degree with $80,000 worth of debt. Put that sucker on forbearance. It actually climbed up after the forbearance thing, like that, not forbearance, deferment, and they ended up adding on an additional interest of $10,000.
So I actually did a little smarter. I did the smarter way, and I got the online degree, my master's degree, and it only cost me under $12,000. I was able to pay half of that last year during a pandemic. So I went the affordable route. You still got it.
I still got this. Like I walked away in 2012, and I still got $80,000, and I made payments. Like when you look at the amount of payments you're making, because the interest is still climbing up. I think I made around like $40,000 worth of payments, and it didn't even like move the needle. Like it's just the same amount of money is still owed in that sucker. But I'm actually on the public student loan forgiveness plan, and that should take me 10 years of payments. So I'm through it about like 6 years in. So I got like 4 more years, and I'll be student loan debt free.
That it felt like it went so fast, because I remember you were telling me this like I think 2015, 2016, whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember you was telling me this, how you apply for it once you start working for the government. I'm just like, damn, that it.
Yeah,
We
it was
don't
20,
think
it
we
was
don't.
2015. It was
Okay,
2015,
2015. I
exactly.
remember specifically when we were just having that discussion. I'm just like, we don't think about time, how quickly a year flies, 2 years flies, like 10 years flies, like
Yeah, especially
swiftly.
if you're doing it right. If you're doing it right, you're
Yeah,
getting it done. I think a lot of people at that 2015, they're like, oh, it doesn't work. There's this report that came out, 99% didn't get it paid. I'm like, right,
right.
you read the report and you see 99% did not even apply correctly. So let's
Mm,
get this information right. So I'm one of the people that really put in the pen and the paper, called them up, got the
right,
information, and now I'm in it, and I got like 4 more years. And on top of that, during this pandemic, because our the federal student loans was on forbearance,
right.
all those non-payments also counted. So I actually saved more money by being on this PSLF because all the non-payments still counted, almost like 2 years worth of
I'm
payments
not
out
paying.
here.
Yeah,
And on top, I'm like, yeah, son, let's
winning.
go. Let's go.
Winning.
Uh, all that to say that this article dropped, and I know people are gonna have their opinions on it. So, do you want to go first? So I could kind of give you my first, thing about it.
Okay, so this is what I took from, because I just shared it, and I was thinking about a few points, right, where I'm not even sure how they are, the metrics or statistics, how are they getting those numbers, whatnot, because are we put into consideration the type of degree they
Mm-hmm.
the type of degree that they graduated with? Are we putting consideration, did they graduate within 4 years? Are we
Mm-hmm.
also putting consideration, did family contribute to their financial backing for school? Right. So there's a lot of factors when it comes to just debt, and also pursuing your college education, because it does matter. So in my case, I was changing my major, like, I don't know, poppy skittles. I don't know what was going on, right? First was communication major, then it was this. I'm like, okay, I'm still to history. No, I'm going to African American studies. I love to teach. I decided to do that. And with that, I pursued and went off to South Korea. But in the midst of that, while I was, in school under my undergraduate, I was receiving a lot of healthcare experience, from call center, from like data reporting, that sort of thing. Not knowing that experience kind of led me to here, pursuing my master's in healthcare, as well as being an analyst for a healthcare company, billing company. So it's really in the matter of those small things of what you're actually doing. Because I recall taking out debt. I recall taking out a loan specifically to have more money to live, pay my rent, pay my car. I was living off campus because I was too good for people on campus. I was like, those small things matter. So unfortunately, we're not prepared when it comes to college, especially first generation college students. We're not prepared. It's a lot of it is money management. A lot of it selecting careers that you're able to kind of monetize your degree. I didn't really monetize on my degree, African American studies, until I'll say 4 or 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Returning back from South Korea, I started making 40 plus thousand, getting my master's degree. Then I started making 70. So there's little small components that we're not taking in full consideration. And then there's the factor where do we have to support family? Those factors, we have to consider that as well. Like, did people drop out? Was it a mental thing? You couldn't really take the pressure of school. So there's a lot of components. That's why I'm like, how are they kind of reporting this?
Oh, they're reporting it. They're doing their job. I'm not gonna sit there and tell you
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure nobody really wants to read the reports, but they've been out for years. I know there's a 30-year study in South Florida metropolitan, and you can actually Google it, get the PDF, and it tells you from the 1980s exactly what's been going on for Black youths in South Florida. People don't read those things. People don't care for it. You can even look up this thing called the Color of Wealth reports in Boston,
Right.
Miami. LA, it'll tell you all of these details in verbatim as to the decline of Black wealth over time. Even this article actually points out, like, I think what you're trying to get at is the median net worth of Black households with college graduates in their 30s has fallen to $8,000 from $50,000 3 decades ago. You know, it's because exactly what you're saying. There's changes in society that have happened, especially in college education, as it relates to what is known as administrative bloat. What is administrative bloat, right? It's that when you go to school, it's barely about school anymore. It's about all the extracurricular activities you could stuff into this college experience. That means the biggest gym, the brand new gym that came around, is part of your student cost. The brand new, the 24/7 security, who pays for that? You pay for that. The 24/7 Wi-Fi, who pays for that? You pay for that. So ultimately, we've been roping into a lifestyle in college that is not the same lifestyle we came from. When I went to college at Florida State University, coming from Miami, it's a whole different feeling. You feel almost clean. Like, it's like, oh, this is how people are really living. This is how it's really going. Like,
you guys have everything on that campus. Everything.
But I'm talking your apartment is different. Your apartment, the way you live is different from the way you even live back in your own home.
Yeah.
Like, it just completely changes. And that's where the costs are. Because back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, school was just, you went to school. There might have been a dorm. And there was just about it. You went to class, you studied, you went to the library, you went back home. It wasn't as involved as it is now, where every school has multiple collegiate activities, going on. And all of that is based off student cost that's roped into your experience. So we don't necessarily talk about that, but that's part of what it is. And I'm on you. I'm 100% with what you stated. There's like 3 ways that I could see that we address this stuff, like, as far as solutions, because it's not necessarily that hard to solve the racial wealth gap. One, I think it goes way before you even get to college. We don't do enough in our communities as it relates to mentoring and getting people into the careers, like you stated. Like, we just get there. I know I got to college, I was like, what do I do? What do I do?
Right.
I was there, I made it, nobody in my family know a lot of information about the experience, what I'm gonna get into. There was no real guidance. Even your guidance directors in high school weren't really as versed to tell you what's going to happen, what you need to look out for, or even what careers you need to really focus on, because some people went to school for careers that are trash. So if you go to school for 5 years,
if college is for you, to be quite honest with you, sometimes grades don't match. Doesn't necessarily mean that you don't lack, a higher education. It means that maybe you could take a different route. I think that they don't push enough blue collar work, electricity, that sort of thing. Like, we can push that to those students who may not even be interested in going to college, or they have, family things that they need to kind of like draw back and say, okay, maybe I need to be locally to my home. I think there's a pressure, right? I'm from a small town. You're from a bigger city than I am.
Yeah.
I'm from a small town in Belle Glade. And, we're all about sports and elite athletic and all this other stuff, whatnot. But there's a huge pressure. I recall going being in high school to say that, oh, what school did you get accepted to? Where are you going? Like,
that's everywhere. That pressure is everywhere. It's everywhere. Like, you get there, like, even Miami, it sounds like a big city, but when you're poor, you live in a small part of that big city.
Right.
That's about it. You ain't going around. You ain't on South Beach. I can count on my hands how many times I've been on South Beach. It's just not a lot. But you just want to know that, you have a plan. Like, even though you're telling people you're going off to school or you're doing this, like, it's almost like, okay, he has her life together. Like, they know what they're doing. So this pressure to say, like, I need to go off to college, but you're not being honest with yourself. But who's being honest with yourself at 17, 18, right? Yeah. You're
not being, you don't understand that you may not be ready for college. Because I'm not just talking about the academics, right? I'm talking about discipline. I'm talking about money management. I'm talking about time management. I'm talking about, having the accountability for yourself, because there's no one else that's going to be on you like yourself. You have to have the discipline to do so. And there's so, like you mentioned, extracurricular activities. I'm a graduate from Florida A&M University, FAMU, and there's tons of distractions, tons of extracurricular activity, which, was great.
Yeah, hey, yeah, it was fine.
But you know, it gives you that college experience. But what we're lacking is the focus. So now that you are a new college student, lack of focus, lack of guidance, which is very top priority, lack of guidance, all these factors, of course, it's like a formula to make bad decisions. And unfortunately, those bad decisions come into money management, taking out more money that you need to pay for your tuition, but also the life that you want to create for yourself, being a college student. I remember times, you know, me, Holly, like everyone, you know, we had a part-time job. We are always at the outlet mall. We live right across the street from the outlet mall.
Hey, I was security at the mall. I've seen women all the time at the mall. Every day. You're like, shoot, you every day up in this place.
We were in there. You couldn't tell me anything. I was cute. I had to be cute going to
the cheap stuff. Yeah, the cheap outfits though.
And I was cute.
Alabaster. Like, what was the other place?
Route 21.
Oh yeah. Forever 21. Yeah. All that stuff.
And there's a store. I don't know if the brand is out or they dismantled. I'm not sure. It's called.
I think they fell. I think it went into.
It fell.
21. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they kind of incorporated them as a brand.
Gotcha. So we used to be all in those stores, you know, just purchasing things. It's just looking back, I'm like, I bought nothing.
Oh yeah.
I honestly bought nothing. And
I remember a friend of mine.
Do that.
I remember a friend of mine said she was moving from Tallahassee to kind of like go back to her hometown. She's like, hey, I need somebody to help me drive my car because I'm driving I need somebody to help me drive the U-Haul and I'm gonna be driving my car. And she's like, I'll pay you whatever because I'm all right, I'm going back to Miami anyways. Let's go do this, right?
Right.
I was driving the U-Haul and she was driving her car. It was loaded up, the U-Haul, with all the furniture stuff, and her car was loaded with nothing but clothes. When I mean clothes, I mean from the beginning, it was like a RAV4 type of situation. Imagine the entirety of the car just filled with just clothes, like straight up. Like I think even her prom dress was still in there, which made no sense to me because after college, you're still carrying this sucker around, like it's just in there. And there was like this culture in like, hey, when you bought it, you will never wear it again type of culture, right? It's like because you didn't want to get in the photo again, whatever, blah blah blah. So it was something that happened in like early 2000s, but ultimately. I was driving that car. She was driving a car fully loaded with nothing but clothes. Right. Nothing but clothes. It was insane.
I mean, and that's the culture that we have seen going off to college and others are living like this college lifestyle, right? And not taking consideration, a lot of those students had their parents to back them up financially. And you trying to keep up, I'm not gonna say keep up with the business, but you're trying to keep up with your counterparts. Let's say that. Because being a FAMU, oh my gosh, like, if I could learn how to beat a face, I wish. There's a certain look. There's a certain look that you have, you know, like wearing heels on, you know, that sort of stuff, and just like putting
you can't just wear you can't just wear the outfit. Your face don't look right, your hair don't look right.
There's a look
the attitude.
But there's a look too that in a culture that it created that you just have to be put together. And honestly, as I got, you know, by the time I graduated, it's like whatever, I got my own place. I don't have to, you know, attract anyone that way. But when I was younger, when I got to FAMU, it was just like pressure, like you have to look good if you're going to lunch, if you're going to the library, whatever, right? But those are type of things that we don't discuss with, you know, our the next generation or our kids, to say that, hey, it's gonna be a lot of pressure. You have to kind of understand and know yourself to know what really matters, what truly matters, right? So like it's so many factors in that when it comes to money management and the debt. And what did you actually do during school? Did you network? Did you build a relationship? Did you build a relationship with your counterparts? What did you do? There's honestly as much resources that we say that, you know, administrative fees and whatnot, but it also fees if you want to decrease, you know, your tuition, because I know they had what's that thing called? It's like a military ROTC, right?
ROTC, work study, all that stuff, or even other opportunities to get travel abroad, all that stuff.
Right. They had opportunities to kind of help you or, you know, negate you to like better resources to, you know, pull back the monetary issues that you may be having in school. So there's resources where you proactive in doing so.
Yeah, you know? I think you brought up a great point. I think part of being in the college setting is the social pressures that we put on ourselves to trying to attract the next person. So even for guys, it's the same thing. I know FSU has done they created even like a black males research think tank, because a lot of black guys were basically flunking out of FSU. I think the average amount of time it took a black male to actually, I guess, graduate from FSU for even an undergrad degree was 6 years. And that's insane. It was supposed to be, it's 4 years or less. When you start getting to this almost the 6 year mark, that means something is not clicking. There's a lot of like recidivism. That means you're losing a lot of time. So for every year that you're not out there, quote unquote, working in your field, you're losing about 3.5 years of wealth, period. So by proxy, the longer you're taking to get out of college, to get yourself, situated, the longer it's going to be. And there's, like you said, the pressures for women is literally the same as it is for guys. So anytime like that net, I believe, what's it called? When the money drops that day, when all your money drops after the first couple of weeks, when all your
the net checks,
net checks drop. Yeah, when the net checks drops, ooh, everybody changed their outfits to look like all the celebrities that we're watching. Like literally, people just went out, bought whatever new stuff, and they went back into the set or the Union Wednesdays at Florida State University.
Right.
And everybody had to, like you said, look and appeal a certain way. And that was to our own detriment. So there's something that has to change in the culture to not put us in debt in the same way.
And also I will include that you mentioned a good point about net checks, right? So people who don't know what net checks is, this is when you're all, you're in school, you're, I guess, your financial package, right? So that includes your financial aid. It also includes any other financial backing that you have. So private, I'm trying to say
grants,
private,
loans,
grants,
scholarships, everything.
Exactly. I was trying to think of scholarships. Private scholarships, open scholarships, like here in Florida, we had the Florida Bright Future scholarships. So anything that helps you pay for your tuition and books is your financial package. So you have all that. So there's fees, right? Each semester they take out fees on semester or
room and board,
right, room and board,
fees,
administration fees, escort, food, everything. So after that, then there's a refund. So there's a refund. So, in college, we kind of, quote unquote, coin the term net check. Did you get your net check? Now, what I have come to learn, like, because I was getting like $100, $200 after my net check. I'm like, dang, why everybody getting like $3,000, $4,000? I'm like, what am I doing wrong, right? Like, what am I doing wrong?
Like, can I get that extra $2,000? Can I get this? Can I get that?
Mistake number one. Right. So I had come to learn that when I was in college, I've come to learn that people went back because I'm not sure. I guess it's different for every institution, but you can actually go back, even though you finalize your financial package to pay for your tuition and whatnot. You can go back and request more money.
Not more money, more loans.
More loans. Okay, let's just say that. More loans. Right. Even though, let's keep in mind, even though you paid off the semester or the year off, you can request more money. They don't ask you what the money is going to. You can
because they assume that you're going to use it for actual reason.
Right,
it's an assumption. But the idea, you're right. You're putting out a great point. That net check is not really a net check. It's really a new loan.
It's a loan, guys. It is a loan. People go, and I've done it myself. I've done it myself. I know people in my circle at that time was doing it for themselves. But what I did, and I'll be honest, is I took that money and made sure I paid my rent for 5-6 months, or make sure I paid my rent for the semester. So the money that I was making, like my part-time job or my full-time job for the summer, was going directly to me, and make sure I was saving, make sure I had money. So I'll say I was a little,
I think everybody was a little like that because we all paid the thing. Yeah. But there's something to be said about the way that even the way we live, like we found apartments or whatever it is that were probably more expensive than they needed to be, right? Because we could have probably tripled up on some places, really saved some money, but we didn't. We just kind of, I remember some ladies, they would actually live further away from school in places that were even more luxurious, and better decked out by themselves. Like, so they were all just stacking it up in student loans. And then later on, we all have the nerve to come back around, the school screwed me over. Nobody screwed you over. Every time you sign that paper, it says, I needed this money. Everybody's like, are you sure? That writing says, are you sure you need this money for whatever? You're like, I do. Boom. We was like, check. Write that off to me and give me my money as soon as possible.
So if you are listening to this and you hear, if you're going off to school, specifically Tallahassee, if you're going off, I think Gainesville said that coin that term too. But if you're going off to school and you're hearing net check, like you see or a refund check, if you're hearing that, do not be fooled.
Don't get too hyped.
Right. Most times it's not, the difference of their scholarships and whatnot. It's loans. It is loans, ladies and gentlemen. It is loans. I'm telling you, I'm being transparent with you guys because we don't have any money to sustain and live on our own. Most kids don't because our parents don't have any money. They're like, hey, go off to school, enjoy, but no money. Like, you're there to fend by yourself. So make sure you're just making, conscientious decisions, because if I would have been a little smarter with my money, I probably would take out loans to begin with, but still love you.
Yeah, there's a lot of especially in the advent of all this student loan debt crisis and people not knowing or people saying they didn't know, they've actually started creating websites that really show you, how much student loans you're gonna, or on a monthly level, how as you kind of stack up student loans, how much it's actually going to cost you in the back end. I think on the front end, a lot of us are pretty, when you go to school, you're like, yeah, I'll pay it back. I'll be working, I'll be balling. But we don't even factor in inflation. We don't factor in, hey, maybe you're not going to have a great job. Maybe you're going to be down on your luck. Or we just don't factor all the different pieces. So we're like, yeah, we're taking $40,000 worth of student loans, but how much is $40,000 worth per month? How much are you going to be paying?
And also I'm not sure if the article included, is about timing too, right? So I am class of 07. I graduated high school. So this is a 07, 08, 07. So this is like entering, a little bit after the crash, financial crisis, whatnot. So by the time I was looking for a job, I remember this, I was looking for a job in school, a part-time job. It was difficult because everyone was looking for a job. The economy just I remember working at one of the retail stores, or I think I was working at, I don't know, Kids R Us, one of those stores. And this woman was like 55, 60, part-time. And she was just saying she lost her home due to the economic crash. Like all these things were happening. So by the time I graduated, it was still limited on job opportunities. Because of the economy, it was just still limited. It honestly, it didn't matter what sector you were in. It was just limited. Now, I'm not saying a pharmacist or something like that. Of course, but if you were trying to be a specific career or something you was unsure of, you just take any job, And most time when you're taking any job, it's less than what you were projected to make when you receive your degree. So there's some factors in that when it comes to the economy and timing. Because I was one of the first class entering college when the economy was so bad, and I wish that I would have taken more consideration of what career route I would take. It's just too. Guidance and how exactly and
how you're going to navigate and what does it mean, and there's a lot of hidden information that's not there. And I think we need to start doing a better job of digging and sharing that information with the next generation, because obviously we got our list. We can't go back in time, but we can actually move it forward and allow other people to learn. Because I'm actually, as you're talking, I'm pulling up different stats, because I think that's important to know. And for people with $35,000 for student loan debt, if they're paying 5%, that's $371 per month. If it's $40,000 worth of debt, that's about $424 per month. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a little bit, but until you kind of get into your field, you're going to start feeling it on a monthly basis that you're getting this nice little lump sum just getting pulled out for a good 20 years. That's a crazy amount. On top of that, I think we do need to do a better job of letting people know this one fast rule, right? Whatever student loans you're getting, it should equal the first year payment of whatever job you're going to get.
Amen.
So the total student loan. So let's say if you get $30,000 worth of student loans, you better be getting a salary of $30,000 on the way out. So it should be, it's almost like a fast and easy rule to remember. If that's, and that's not the average of your industry. I'm not asking about, hey, that's the average. I'm saying that as a entry-level person, If you had $30,000 worth of debt, your entry level job should be $30,000. Just think about it that easy. It's just that it's 1-to-1. So if your total start going a little bit extreme, because I picked up 80,000, like I said earlier, and the first job I had was making $23,000. You know, like that was way below. It was hurting me every month to the point where it's like $750 a month. Like right now, my student loans are a grand a month. If it wasn't for the forbearance, I'll be paying $1,000 a month. That's just how simple it is. It's not. It's just. It's like, well, people say you making money. I make money, but that automatic the deposit is nasty.
Yeah.
And they have the nerve to send you like a message like 2 or 3 weeks before, like, hey, we're about to take this money. When the week when they take it, we took your money. The week after is like, hey, thank you for
finalizing your money.
Thank you for allowing us to take your money. And the next week again, hey, we're gonna take it again. Just remember that. I'm like, all the time, bro. Like, you don't have to hit me up all the time for this. Yeah. So it hurts. And for some people, they're not making those correlations. And you're right. There's the pre-college phase where you need to figure out what is your goal in life. What is the family goal? What is the structure? What is the career you're gonna get into? Are you even thinking about a career? You need to do the work then. And during college, understanding that there are resources on campus that's supposed to help you versus in resources that's just gonna, social resources that's gonna drain the amount of money and the time that you have, and maybe even also put a detriment to your education. Because a lot of times I was at the parties. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was at some parties that went up to like 4 a.m. in the morning. It was wild. It was cool, but I wasn't studying to like the 4 a.m. in the morning. I was actually prioritizing the social aspect of college. And I was becoming more versed in that, but I wasn't being versed in whatever industry I was getting into. So I was stacking up my debt because I was not paying, I was indirectly not paying attention. And that's part of the problem as well. And then there's the phase of after college. I think once people kind of graduate college, I don't think they have a good financial plan going forward. So they kind of get into, let's say if you move from Tallahassee to DC or Atlanta or even LA, you're getting your first job, you're getting your first taste of being outside of college. A lot of people reward themselves for their quote unquote college struggles. After they partied, they got all the outfits, they did all that stuff. They're like, I was there. I barely passed, but everybody's like, I'm a college graduate. I get all the pictures, I get all the likes, and now I need to go get the brand new car to showcase to other people that I've made it. So I've known many of friends who were teachers themselves that bought Mercedes to show and prove that my experience over here wasn't for nothing. My experience was, obviously I'm a college grad, so therefore I need a brand new car. And you get like even your family will pressure you too. It's like, hey, aren't you a college grad? Get a car. Aren't you a college grad? Get a house. So people are constantly burying themselves in more and more debt while they're not understanding budgeting, money management, time management, the same problem they had during college and before college, they're still having it today. So when I see articles like this that pop up, college was supposed to close the racial wealth gap, but it didn't. The opposite happened. The truth is that we're still not, and I'm pretty sure if we get into the nitty gritty of this article, people are still not taking personal accountability of the stuff that we've done to put ourselves in this situation.
Yeah.
We did it.
Right.
Nobody forced you to party. Nobody forced you to swipe that card every time, but you were there all the time. All white party, all red party, all red and blue party.
I'll source the party. And I'll say, being a family graduate, I was at some of those parties. So
phone party. It
was lit.
Halloween party. What do you got? Like, whatever theme we got, let's just go. Shoot a theme. Let's just go. Oh, cowboy night. Okay, cool. We're gonna roll with that too.
Oh my gosh. It's so many factors, but yes, you hit it on the head about really taking personal accountability of the decisions that you made that impact you, generations to come, decades to come, unfortunately, at this point, like the article mentioned. But I do understand that if you are proactive in whichever that you're doing and taking just real self-accountability in the decision that you're making, that you will push through. Because I'll say this is living alone, up until my junior and senior year, living alone in a little cottage, like $500 a month, $490, $500. I still remember the rent price. God, I remember the rent price. I still recall the
the rent price.
I still recall the rent. Living alone, yes, I couldn't afford it per se, but I'll say that it has taught me a valuable lesson not to live beyond my means. Very young, not to live beyond my means, because when the net check, stopped coming in and I had to work 2 or 3 jobs, as well as I was impacted by the Obamacare Affordable Care Act, where if your employer is not, if you're working more than 20 hours, then your employer have to give you health insurance. So the organization I was working for cut my hours like by half. I was making just so much. It was just
dang,
by
Obama,
half.
Obama, though, you coming for Obama out here?
Obama did this. Obama administration. I remember this.
Like, wow, you had to call him out. Like,
I got to call you out. I remember this, but those are the things that I recognize that I had to take personal accountability. Looking over my money. I remember going to these stores, meat store called Pick 5. If you're in Tallahassee, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's called Pick 5, where they label like chicken, rice, whatever. You can pick 5 for $19.99.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yes, I made those meals stretch. I made like $40 stretch for 2 or 3 weeks. I had to do so. But again, I take personal accountability to say that I shouldn't have had a 1-bedroom apartment to begin with. I shouldn't have had a car, which I have now, which I'm very proud of. I shouldn't have a car making payments to begin with on a college salary, but I wanted the convenience. I wanted the freedom. I wanted to feel like an adult.
Yeah, and to look like it too, because you do get social acceptance from other people as well. I know if you can't, I guess you can't even date if you don't have a car. Like as a guy, yeah. It's a no-go. The girl gonna be looking at you like, you're gonna take me out and you don't have a date. You have a car now? Like what you doing transportation? Are you riding a bus? So there's a lot of like this weird, very messed up negative connotations to just trying to live as frugal as possible. But like you said, we can only kind of advise you to let you know that it's just, college is supposed to be a 4-year type of experience. You go through it, you get your education, you set yourself up for a very good career. If you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong. If you're, generally, if it's your money is going to food or luxury housing, because right now the housing in Tallahassee on average is around like $1,200 a month. But like a one bedroom, they don't play no more. Like that's the low end for a 1-bedroom in Tallahassee. People are living like it's New York. You're like, how you living in a studio overlooking the Florida State, and then you're paying $1,400 a month? Like that's crazy.
Looking over the Capitol. Yeah, looking over the Capitol.
I was like Florida. I was to say Florida State. So yeah, you're looking it over. You're like, so you're seeing it, and now you feel like you made it. But all of this it'll cost you in the long run. And I just never subscribe to these type of articles that's like, oh, woe is me. The system is against me. Everybody did this or that. And like, no. All of y'all, like I was there. People were clicking and swiping, kicking it. My buddy was like, yo, you coming or not? I was like, let's do it. I knew I was low on funds. I still went. Like I knew I didn't have that much money.
But LG, I will acknowledge that there are factors, right, that impact, students to, get the quality education or the resources, and depending on where you are, to even like look for college as an option. So there are internal factors as well as external factors. But like you mentioned before, it's just the guidance. We just don't have proper guidance.
I'm not denouncing what I call, it's almost like the price of play, right? Right. Price to play this game called the U.S. capitalism, to get into your career. Obviously, a lot of people, you could run the stats all the time. College educated people make generally a lot more than people that have high school degrees. It's always been the case. So there is a price to play this game, but the external prices we added upon ourselves in our culture, I think that is what ended up screwing us over, because we didn't have to spend as much as we spent.
Right. I do agree with that.
We literally put that pressure on us, on ourselves. Yeah. Riding out, everybody had a car. We didn't all need to have a car. Maybe one of your friends needed that car, but 9 times out of 10 it was just sitting in the parking lot.
You're right, but I love
wasn't that serious.
You're right.
I'm not saying that everybody. It's like we have to be honest about how we place ourselves in some situations, whereas they could have been avoided. Obviously, some unavoidable things we can't really do anything about. The cost is what the cost is. We get in there is what it is. But the extra stuff, It's the extra, because even those extras followed us into post college. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about it. I know I always do every once in a while on this channel, but we went from college to the brunch culture, day parties, and also travel. Wait, pause.
You just really on this. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Pause. Then we also went into luxury travel. Tell me that's not true. Like it literally one day we just went from one type of like lifestyle in college, and the moment it opened back up again, it's like, oh, now everybody's chasing luxury travel. So you saw everybody like in their mama. Some people like, did you just come from a travel? You went for like 3 months, and I have to travel. It is just my lifestyle. Like it's just the way. I just don't like to be here, so therefore I travel every 3 months. Like everybody was just throwing that out. 2019 was a different year. People were throwing that out all over the place.
So I started traveling. I went to South Korea in 2013, like 2014, I think. And I came back 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So this is before like Travel Noir like became the brand of, I think when I was there, that's when it started like picking up a little bit, and Black travel, I guess, right? But I was already at these places before like the whole brand kind of monetized on that idea of luxury travel. Let me be very clear to you all. People travel. They travel broke. Yes, Bali. I've been to Bali. I've been to all these other countries. Yes, it is affordable to go there. However, it does cost. It costs money to be there. So after a certain time, you're country hopping. Those country hopping is not on credit, or not on debit cards or cash. They're on credit cards. And it is expensive. It does get expensive. It gets tiring, and the things that you have to maneuver, like different country, the currency,
languages,
the fees,
the people,
the language, the fees. I got like food poisoning when I was in Bali. So it's just like people don't discuss about those things. It's very tiring, not only on yourself, but your pockets. Like it's great, don't get me wrong. Like it was such a great experience, but understand this: there is a cost. So you're traveling from US to Bali, or US to whatever country. It's okay, but it costs a lot of money to do so and maneuver all these other places, and the currency and the fees, all the little small things like you mentioned. It adds up. And I was traveling to these places because I was on that side of the world. So it was a little bit cheaper for me. So I can only imagine someone traveling from the US to the Southeast Asia all the time.
But I think I don't mind traveling. And then people ever see me, I've been to like 23 countries, and I love travel. I love the idea of traveling. And, if it's intentional and it's part of who you are, I get it because it's there, but there's a different vibe that we got into. It's like people are just traveling because it looked good for IG.
Right, exactly.
And that was troubling. Watching people go to a place, never learn anything about the culture, is really just to take, bring in brand new outfits that you never wore the first time. You got to whip it out the pack, you got to set it up, and then you got to take a photo shoot, but you're not really taking in and really making a valuable attempt of really learning from yourself. Because even you went over there, you came back. I think you came back a changed person. I think anybody that leaves for a very long time kind of disassociate with the matrix of the US and kind of really learn other people. You start seeing things a little bit different. So you come back with an actual experience, but people are just going there for like 3 days, really just to take the photos and really just come back and say, I was there because of the photos showed me to be there living this lavish lifestyle. Yeah. And that was troubling. And that's part of what we talked about here, which is the culture is what is expensive. It's not the college experience per se, because it's going up for everybody. That's it. It doesn't matter who you are. The college experience it's almost like it's raceless. Like everybody's gonna get a shot in the arm about that one. It's gonna happen. But the culture that we found ourselves in as Black African Americans and Black diaspora people living in America, that's the expensive aspect. Living in that, in the culture, trying to socialize, trying to date. It's not free. None of it. Like other people you see, like, oh, they go on a hike and they next thing you know, they're in a honeymoon and they got married with 3 kids. I'm like, that was a simple way to do that. Some people go to to coffee dates and next thing you know, they're married. But us, I remember in DC, man, it had to be, if you didn't spend $100, some lady said that if you didn't spend over $100 and we weren't really on the date. that's part of the culture. And if we don't not change that part of the culture, of course, every year we're going to get more and more into this indebted broke culture, because in the end of the day, we're not managing our time, our efforts, even ourselves better. So, and ultimately our wealth decreases, because it's not just about the cash value of money, but it's really who we are. Our own personal value decreases. And I think that's going to be like my last statement out here, because we're going to have to wrap this segment up.
Wrap it up.
I don't know. Like, what you want to leave the people with?
I want to lead to people, especially when it comes to association with the article, right? College was supposed to, let me get this up. College was supposed to be close the wealth gap for Black Americans. The opposite happened. We touch on a lot of things, but I think one of the main point is preparation, having the guidance and the mentors there, so we can choose the right majors, can choose the right careers, and also taking self-accountability. I take self-accountability all the time, and I do reflect on the decisions I have made in college. Now, unfortunately, in my case, it has helped because I've learned from those decisions and made better decisions moving forward. But others, however, are still affected, unfortunately, and impacted because of the decision of monetizing or just getting to the culture, and the cash value of the culture has impacted us as well. What about you, LG?
I'd like to think, based on these articles that always keep popping up, and I think it's also a little bit triggering, or maybe a re-victimization that we do to ourselves. Obviously, we write about it, but we're not necessarily writing about the solutions. There's an issue, and then we paint it as the other. Everything is external, somebody else that did it to us. But I like to take a personal accountability approach, because there's some segment of it that is just on us to change who we are and to allow ourselves the grace to change. We don't have to make this as hard as it is for ourselves. You don't have to hit the set or the I think they call it the quad on Howard or something. Okay. They call it something like where
we call it the set. The set was already.
Yeah, you call it the set. We call it Union Wednesday. A lot of people call it different things, but I think Howard called it like the quad or something. And you have to just kind of look a certain way. You got to be presented. That's why you got that. Remember that guy, that Byron Allen or Byron? Remember there was a story about this guy in Byron that stole some money. Stole the student ID. Social Security. Yeah, he got like 8 years. So there's undue pressure that exists there too, where people are just trying to show up and show out, but they're doing anything, even almost to the quasi illegal manner, to get money to really kind of pose. I actually, because I was security for the mall, I actually saw a girl, right? And she was part of the student council, whatever it is, but we caught her stealing. Like FSU. We caught her stealing, like a black woman. Like I knew her personally, so when they called me in to kind of do the stuff, we reviewed the tape. Yes, she was stealing. Why? Because she wanted to fit into whatever she was stealing. Outfits. And it was not just one time. She was literally stealing outfits. So because that was just an opportunity for her to just look a certain way, look the part. And that's unfortunate because it didn't have to be that way. She's a very brilliant person, but it's forever tarnished, part of her record. At least my opinion of her also tarnished, because I didn't think it was that serious. And I think we put that too much pressure on each other to succeed in a social aspect versus on the real interpersonal level. I also want to tell people to close out. There are solutions. Like we've done it, and like we've closed down our racial wealth gap. Like me and my wife were featured on Business Insider. Went from like negative net worth, to $500,000, whatnot, where people say it's impossible. I'm like, it is possible. It is doable. I became a homeowner. I got a rental property. I'm looking at everybody like, ain't that hard. But we don't spend enough time talking about solutions. We love to mull over like problems because we like to point it at somebody else. But the moment you start really looking at yourself and say, you know what, I did this, then you start realizing you're empowered to do the exact opposite. You can fix it. You can literally fix it. With that being said, you could also find me at on my IG, theneighborhoodfinanceguy.com, or the Neighborhood Finance Guy, but the website is www.theneighborhoodfinanceguy.com. It's an opportunity to have a discussion and also find solutions. Do you want to leave them with where they could find you, where they subscribe? Like desperate subscribe.
I'm a YouTuber, so I have to be desperate with the clicks.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash that subscribe button. So yeah, guys, you can find me on YouTube at Alainta, just my name, Alainta. I'm also on IG, which is It's Alainta, so ITS_Alainta, ALAINTA. And we're just, leaving breadcrumbs and information. It has been done. People have done it. People are still doing it. So it's not just addressing the issues, it's providing guidance and solutions. So thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it.
To the Financial Griot.
FTFG. I gotta get the acronym right.
Yeah, we gotta get ourselves right. So if you love what you hear and you love the kind of content we drop, just make sure you share it with other people, share it with your friends, hit a like, review it, and all stuff like that. You can tell that we're not necessarily trying to be these super uppity professionals. We like to have a real true conversation. We make mistakes, and we no edits. We don't do edits. I don't do edits. Let's
let it roll. Let it go.
Let it roll. If it goes out, people hate me, it's all good. Sometimes I'm toxic. Sometimes I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
guys.
Thanks, guys.
So much. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.